Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Those were Palestinian protesters stomping on an Israeli flag, because that's a normal and proportionate response to President Trump's commitment to move the US embassy to Israel's eternal capital, Jerusalem, right? But that wasn't in Gaza City, the West Bank, or anywhere else in the Middle East. It wasn't even in one of those European no-go zones. No, that was right here in Vancouver over the weekend. And sadly, there is more.
That's quite hateful.
Burning, stealing, and stepping on any nation's flag is extremely disrespectful. Just imagine if those were Canadian flags. None of this is, of course, illegal, though. In fact, it's completely defensible as part of freedom of expression. But as is so often the case, this incident underscores the double standard at play in Canada, and frankly around the world when it comes to Israel and the Jewish people. Imagine for just 1 minute if these were not Palestinian Muslims and Palestinian activists, but alt-right neo-Nazi Holocaust deniers who were burning and stomping on the Israeli flag. Then I have no doubt for 1 second that the Vancouver police would have stepped in to stop any of it and made arrests. Something the Vancouver police in attendance did not do over the weekend when it was Palestinians and pro-Palestinian activists doing so. Or what if the flag of any Muslim nation, or even that Palestinian flag you saw being waved, was stolen, stomped on, and lit ablaze? How long until Prime Minister Trudeau and every other government minister condemned it as a form of Islamophobia, and the pages of every single publication coast to coast were filled with condemnation? So why hasn't that been the case here? Other than a couple news stories from CTV and Global's Vancouver bureaus, this has not been a national news story. And as of midday Monday, not one comment from Mayor Gregor Robertson, Premier John Horgan, or the Prime Minister. Why is it that we become numb to this sort of stuff as long as the target is Israel? Whether it's boycott, divestment, and sanctions, the halls of academia, even within the ranks of the NDP and Liberal Party or at the United Nations, condemnation of Israel and latent anti-Semitism is everywhere in our society today. And sadly, I think that appears to be translating into something far worse than rhetoric. In 2016, according to Stats Canada, hate crimes against Jewish people were up 25% over 2015. Now, before you go blaming the alt-right or Donald Trump's 2016 campaign for this spike, note that hate crimes against Muslims were down 12.5% compared to 2015. Is it simply a fact that some of the worst forms of anti-Semitism come from the Arab world, where, for instance, an Arabic translation of Hitler's Mein Kampf became a bestseller in the Palestinian territories about 15 years ago? It appears so. And it goes back even further than that, to when the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem conspired with Nazis during the Holocaust, and German embassies in the Middle East began disseminating Arabic language Mein Kampfs, including in Iraq, where at the time, one of the largest Jewish communities in the Middle East resided. B'nai B'rith Canada also reports that the attendees of the Vancouver rally shouted, quote, "Millions of martyrs are marching towards Jerusalem," unquote. And they quoted one Jewish UBC student, Jake Resnick, in response to the burning, stealing, and stomping of Israeli flags. Quote, "We came to peacefully share our viewpoint, but they grabbed our flag right out of my friend's hands, and then they ripped it to shreds. They clearly weren't interested in peace," unquote. And you can see an image of a torn Israeli flag that was posted to Facebook shortly after. Again, just imagine if that were a torn up Palestinian flag. Justin Trudeau would have flown out to Vancouver overnight to make another teary-eyed apology to the Palestinian and Muslim community first thing this morning. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. You know, telling the other side of the story, especially when it comes to anti-Semitism and the way the world treats Israel, is what we do here at The Rebel. Make sure you never miss an update. Click subscribe on our YouTube channel.